Is this the end of Dishonored? Well, it looks like it if the sales are any indication. This is Raptor News, reactions on the latest gaming news, brought to you by multiple sources, but mainly the PlayStation blog. We have a Fred Dutton here. He writes, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was the best-selling game on the PlayStation Store in November. So, in November, a lot of big games came out, including Dishonored 2. So let's look at the list and read with me, okay? Call of Duty, Battlefield, Watch Dogs, Skyrim, yeah, FIFA, of course, Final Fantasy. Of course, Final Fantasy launched like only 2 days. They had like 2 days of sales in this whole list. Still made it to 6, pretty significant. Rainbow Six Siege. That game came out last year. Whoa, great job, guys. Uncharted, of course, there was a sale with that game as well. Ratchet & Clank was pretty cheap. Little Big Planet 3 is the last one. Dishonored 2, a game that came out in November, a new game from Bethesda. They had like TV commercials, they had commercials on every big websites. There were YouTubers playing this game. It's not even in the top 20 PS4 games. This is a Little Big Planet 3, a game that came out 2 years ago, is more popular than Dishonored 2. What the heck? Okay, maybe it's different in the US. I mean, they had some TV commercials there, so maybe. Okay, let's look at the PS4 games. Call of Duty again, Final Fantasy in third. Like I said, pretty good. Well done, Final Fantasy. Dishonored. Just Cause 3, a game that released last year. Mad Max, a MAG game that released last year. More sales than Dishonored 2. You know, Dishonored 2, that game that got great scores across the board. That is an amazing game. Didn't even make it to the top 20 PS4 games in the month it came out. And it's not like that it came out in like the last week. It came out in the middle. So what the heck is going on here? We already heard that the Dishonored sales are not as expected. They are not better than the original, at least in the UK, and this is physical. So we just looked at digital in the PlayStation Store. Let's look at physical now. 40% drop, or 38 to be exact, compared to the original launch. Some of this difference will be soaked up by the larger portion of digital sales today. But if we look at the PlayStation 4 store, I hope that this is not correct, because it didn't even get into the top 20. It's a shame, as Dishonored 2 looks like a lot of fun. It's a great game. So yeah, when it released, it like came out on number 4. And for a new game, with all the pre-orders coming in, with all the stuff, that all the marketing and stuff like that, well, Battlefield 1 came out like almost a month before Dishonored 2, like 3 weeks. Okay, there are still some marketing things going on, but Battlefield 1, Dishonored 2 just came out. What the heck? It's insane that even Titanfall 2, that game that was a flop in many cases, it got released in between Battlefield and Call of Duty. That's like suicide. But it still managed to get into the top 20 PS4 games in the PlayStation Store, while Dishonored didn't. So what I find interesting is another indication that Dishonored 2 did not really do as well. If we look at the Dishonored 2 like Steam sales here, they are 340,000 people bought the game, and we can also see what the price point was. And yeah, during the sale there were some new users, of course, but yeah, they mostly bought it for 60 bucks. Still, 340,000, let's say 350,000. Let's compare this with the first one. And of course, looking at the first one, there are some sales. As you can see here, like huge sales. It's like $10 sometimes. But still, it's like 3 million copies sold on Steam. 350,000, 3 million. That's like insane. That's like, what the heck is going on with this franchise? And I kind of understand why it didn't sell that well, and there are multiple things. First of all, the competition of the first one was not that like huge. If we look at the day that Dishonored came out, as you can see over here, it had Code Princess on 3DS, Fable the Journey, of course, that like bad Fable game. Just Dance 4 is a good game, but for different kinds of people. XCOM, okay, I can see that, but yeah, that's also, yeah, it's a great franchise, but it's a totally different game. Then we had Pokemon Black and White, of course, for a totally different system. Yeah, Resident Evil 6. It's like, no, it's like, it came out in October as well, not like November when you have Call of Duty, and this year they had Watch Dogs 2, you had Titanfall 2, you had Battlefield, you had a ton of huge games coming out, Final Fantasy later in the month, so of course you can't spend your money on all those games, and a lot of people just skipped over Dishonored 2. And yeah, as you can see over here, it's like October, and yeah, it got hyped a lot as well. People were really interested in this game, and it did really well for them because it was a new IP. It looked cool, and then a lot of people said it was cool. And with Dishonored 2, this wasn't the case. People could not say when the game was out that it was a good game. They could not give a score because Bethesda decided to hold off on the reviews and just gave them a day before launch. So what is interesting about this is that for some games it worked. For example, Doom. Doom also had the same like review policy, and it worked. I mean, a ton of people bought it. It was May. Name another shooter that was out in May, and I don't count Homefront because that sold pretty bad as well. So that worked for Doom, and Doom is of course this huge franchise. This is one of the like first-person shooters that a lot of people know. If it's a good game, then sure, I want to play it. It's a shooter as well. That's just a super popular franchise. Skyrim, on the other hand, they had the same review policy for that. Give the game one day before release to the press so they can talk about it, so to YouTubers so they can make videos about it. And what's interesting about that is of course it's Skyrim. You fucking know what you're gonna get with a remastered version of Skyrim. It can only get worse, and in the end it turned out to be pretty worse. Looking at the wolves I saw on the internet, you probably saw that as well. With Dishonored 2, it's a game that you're probably proud of, right? You made this game, Arcane Studios, the guys that made the first one, they took a lot of time, they took 4 years to create this game, put a lot of heart into it. Of course, the Doom and Skyrim remastered also had a lot of heart into it, but still, those are known franchises. This is like something you want to scream off the rooftops. Then they had the real life like commercial going on. Okay, yeah, but I don't trust that, that's not gameplay. We had no review scores at launch, so okay, this game is out, but there are no 9s, 8s, 7s, 10s even for this game. That turned out to be the case later on, but when those reviews dropped, Watch Dogs 2 was out, so Watch Dogs 2 stole all the thunder from Dishonored. So yeah, okay, it is a good game, but yeah, you have your Watch Dogs 2, commercial, marketing, stuff like that. So this is what's wrong with this review policy. It works for some games that people will straight up buy, but they probably could have looked at the Dishonored 2 pre-order numbers and saw, okay, we might want to change it here. We might want to give the reviews earlier so that the reviewers, that the sites that have huge audiences, the YouTubers that have huge audiences can tell the people to buy this game. Because when they could really tell the people to buy this game, it was already too late. Ship it sailed, game is already out a few days, not new anymore. They also had the E3 showing that a lot of people thought it was too long. They had it at the end of the show, and some people just, I mean, they first showed like the areas and then they went into gameplay, and yeah, a lot of people thought it was just too long, not very interesting. It was just not a great way to show this game. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but the realistic result of this is that if we go back to the, let's say, to the PlayStation block, it's not in this, it's like Little Big Planet 3. Okay, it must have been $5, $10, something like that. But still, if Little Big Planet 3, a game that probably didn't really do very well, or I don't know, anyway, if that can sell more than a totally new AAA title with a marketing budget of millions, then there is really something wrong. And I think that this is the end of the Dishonored franchise, and it's sad to see this. Or they should just think, okay, we were bold enough to release Dishonored 2 in the holiday because we thought, okay, a lot of people love the first one, they will probably buy the second one. Sadly not the case, because there are a lot of other games that people buy as well. That if they ever do a Dishonored 3, maybe release in March. Release in a time when there's simply not a lot of stuff coming out, like the October release, like the early October release for the first one. With Prey, that's like the other Arcane Studios, so that's the US Arcane Studios. The other one is based in France. What is interesting with the Prey game is releasing in spring. Looks a lot like Bioshock, so people, I mean, if you want a new Bioshock game, well, it looks a lot like that. So, and there are not. 2K is probably also making a Bioshock game, but we don't know about it right now. So, I think that will do really well if they choose their good, like, time frame to release it. And right now, it looks a little bit bad for Arcane Studios. They had a great hit with Dishonored. Dishonored 2 is, some people say that it's even better. I still have it lying around here. I want to get to it, but I love the first one a lot. Yeah, that's also for me. I love the first one a lot. Got it, and Watch Dogs. I played a bunch of other games and could not get to this. And imagine a lot of people are probably like the same. So it's just sad because it's a super interesting franchise, but I think that this is the last one, sadly. And I think it's interesting to see what the future for Arcane will be. What next game will they do? Maybe a new IP. I hope that will be the case because I don't see them working on Dishonored again after the poor releases. And we will probably hear more about this in a financial report from Bethesda that should be in January, somewhere like that. Anyway, what do you think? This sad news that Dishonored 2 is probably well underperforming. Let me know in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Or anyway, something about Dishonored. Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe for more reactions on the latest gaming news. Like the video if you did, and I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.